not earth-shattering for you today, but I promise you, if you will live them, they'll transform the quality of your life and your family's life and your team's lives. I know it for sure. So I'm going to just jump right in because I think it's so important to get to these points today. Number one, you have to say this to yourself at some point. Today, tomorrow, but certainly here at Summit, I must raise my ambitions and refuse to settle. No duh, talking to a very ambitious group. I get it. But I've also been blessed to travel the world and work with the highest level of performers in the world. I'm a certified high performance coach. I spend my time in the high performance realm, whether it's Fortune companies, billionaire entrepreneurs, startup founders, Oprah, Usher. I've been blessed with amazing people. And I can tell you, one of the things that makes a difference is at some point in your life, there's a switch that goes and you raise your ambition. The issue is sometimes it's hard. You don't believe in yourself. Somebody said no. You got a jerk in your family who doesn't believe in you. Something happens and you diminish your dreams. Something is happening in your current life today where what you're doing is you're diminishing your ambitions. But I like to tell people, never limit your vision based on your past or your current circumstances. There's a dream that's bigger than you, a mission that's bigger than you, that you need to reach out to for your family, for your friends, for your difference in the world. If you want to go to another level, you have to raise your ambitions to another level. Raise your hand if that makes sense. You got to raise your ambitions to another level. It's just hard based on maybe where you came from. Certainly, my story, if you've never heard my story before, you know, this is the house that I grew up in. A place called Butte, Montana. Got some Montanans here? A place called Butte, Montana. Montanans joke, and only Montanans can make the joke, that it's also Butt, Montana. And we call it Butt because sometimes, and I love it, it's where I grew up, but it was a hard town. This is a picture of me when I went back in college to check it out. And, you know, the house was always falling apart. My two parents, working full-time between the two of them, really struggled to raise us 4 kids. We were slightly below the poverty line when I was growing up. My dad and I were always climbing up on the roof or putting one other piece of rock underneath that little pillar that held up that part of the roof. It was always leaking and always broke, and it was a hard time. And I remember one winter the heat went out in our house. I was little. I was like maybe, 6, 7 years old. And the heat goes out, which, look, anywhere else in the world sometimes, when the heat goes out, it's an inconvenience. When the heat goes out in Butte, Montana, it's life-threatening in the winter. Because we'll get 20, 30 below zero, and that's not even counting wind chill factor. It's freezing. Heat goes out, but Mom and Dad, they can't afford to fix the heater. So we gotta wait 2 weeks until my dad gets the paycheck to fix the heater. All these people are coming in and they're trying to fix the heater and doing their best, but they can't fix it, unfortunately. And so my mom, being resourceful like a lot of you have been just to get here, a lot of you really struggled and fought and worked your asses off to get in this room here. So real quick, would you all celebrate each other for the hard work it took to get in this stadium? Matter of fact, if you're happy that your friends are here, would you turn to the person to your left and your right, grab their shoulders, shake them, and thank them for being here. Grab them, shake them, thank them. I'm thankful you're here. I'm thankful you're here. Well, because it took resourcefulness to get in a room like this, to be here. Well, my mom, heater's out, what does she do? She goes out to the garage. She grabs our sleeping bags, puts them in that front little room there. She goes back to the garage, she gets our camping tent, comes back to the room. She sets up the camping tent in our living room amidst a 30 below zero cold winter. Throws in our sleeping bags, throws in our parkas, throws in our electric blankets, and she pretends that we're camping. Us kids, we're so young and dumb, we don't know what's going on. So we're walking to school. I remember going to school and I'd walk in, like whatever, it's first grade, second grade, I can't remember. I walk in and I'd talk to the kids. I'm like, where'd you sleep last night? They're like, well, in my bedroom. I'm like, I slept in a tent. In my living room. Yeah, my family, we're camping. What do you guys do at night? I had no idea. But I love to say, we grew up with nothing, but we grew up with total abundance. You know what I mean? Thank you. We grew up with abundance because I was blessed to have two amazing, loving parents. People always say, Brenden, you're so lucky with everything that's happened in your life, and I say, you're right. And the number one thing I lucked out with was love in my family. So for those who have families, you love them. Just love them with everything you got. You know? Well, you can see in this picture, behind the house, there's this, broken down apartments. My brothers were always tricking me to go up in the apartments and then they'd prank me and scare me. We had an empty lot next to the house. It was a tough place to grow up. And why do I share that? Because if I had set my ambitions in my life based on that house, that block, that neighborhood, my parents' reality at that time, the community I grew up in, if my ambitions were fixed to my then circumstances, if my ambitions were fixed to my past, if my ambitions were fixed to what everybody else thought and felt and dealt with and had in their lives, I wouldn't get to be here with every single one of you. There's something that happens. It's a transformation moment. Many of you already had it in your life where you said, I'm ready to go to a new level. And some of you are going to make that decision here today. But there's another level for you that's required for you to reach because of your family, your goals, your dreams, the mission you want to serve. Every one of you someday will make that decision to go to another level, and that ambition will change your life. It was the ambition to not just get outside of my town, but to give back to my town, to grow and to give so much bigger. I would never have gotten to be here. I would have never gotten to meet people like this. Me, a kid from Butte, Montana. And don't worry, if those guys are too liberal for you, I also got those guys. Bill Gates and George Bush. I never imagined that I'd get to hang out and work with media moguls. That's Ariana Huffington and Steve Forbes. My big childhood dream, the people who made a big difference in my life, who I wanted to meet, I never knew I'd get to hang out with these guys. I never knew. Kid from Butte, Montana. I would never have had the ambition to say, I want to work with the most influential people in the world. I never had it. I wouldn't have had it if it was based on where I came from, or my college, or my friends. I certainly never would have gotten to work with Miss O. You know? Some of you know one of my most famous, probably high-performance clients, my main man, Usher. Oh man, if you want to talk about high performance and another level of ambition, you got to hang out with him. He's unbelievable. Unfortunately, I haven't learned his dance moves yet, but someday. I got to meet the man who changed my life so significantly. Many of you know him. We lost him 2 years ago. And it's the late, great Wayne Dyer. And he changed my life. Because my ambition wasn't fixed to my past, I got to meet other people and have them on my stages at High Performance Academy, what I do. People who just, they changed my life. They were so inspiring. I don't know, like this guy. I love this picture of he and I. We have so much fun together. Look, I'm the biggest Tony Horton fan out there. I know many of you guys are too. Make sure you take his online course. It's Living Large. It's amazing. And Tony he really is who he is. And if you've met him, he's kept his humility, his hard work ethic, and his deep compassion and care for all of you. He's so amazing. I got to work with and have in my audience who I didn't even know was going to be there, someone who I deeply admire and respect. You know that, Chalene Johnson. We have so much fun too. I was at her event just cracking up, having so much fun. I mean, what I love about Chalene and Tony is with both of them, they're so driven and they have high ambitions, and not just for you, but for themselves, their family, for me even. They both raise my game as much as I try to raise them. And I love hanging out with them. You're hanging out with Tony Horton or Celine, you never know what they're going to do. They're going to surprise you because they always got a big dream for you. They're going to challenge you to do something. You could be hanging out with Tony Horton, and you just walk along and be like, boom! Celine, I'll be out. I got fun with these people. You know, another one I just got to recently meet. I'll tell you what, I went to headquarters and I got to hang out with Carl. And I'll tell you what, I was so sick when I went there. I was feeling terrible. You can see just the pain in my eyes. And I go there feeling terrible. And we start our meeting. And look, you guys know, if you go to, and you have the blessing of sitting down with Carl Diepler, you ought to be on your A game. I'm thinking of how to share ambitions with him, even bigger than the company already is. I'm thinking of all these things, but I feel terrible. We're halfway through the meeting, and I want to die. I've been to like 7 different cities. I just came out of like heat stroke. I mean, I was sick when I got there. He didn't know how bad off I was. And then, thank you God, he asked his assistant to make 2 shakes. And she put a banana in that chocolate vegan, and she brought it over. She set it down. I'm like, 10 minutes later, I'm like, up at the board. Write it down. When I say I love Beachbody, I love the product too. How many Shakeology nuts in the room, ladies and gentlemen? Me too. It saved the whole meeting. He didn't even know I came alive. I'm right board. I'm like, let's go. I raised my ambition beyond where I came from. You got to do it. If you want to go to another level in your life, your ambition must rise above your yesterday. You got to do it. Something inside of you has to make that switch and say, I want a better quality of life for my family, my friends, the people around me. And look, if you're ever unmotivated on a Wednesday, you know, you ever wake up in the morning, you're driven, you're fired up, you're so excited, and then 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're on the couch watching the 3rd season of something on Netflix. And you're like, oh my God, I just watched 3 seasons. What happened is, somewhere throughout the day, you got disconnected from your ambition. Now, some people don't like the word ambition. I say, look, well, maybe it's desire. Maybe it's for you, it's what Les Brown taught us. You got to be hungry. Hunger, desire, purpose, mission, those are ambitions for another quality of life. When I worked with the Dalai Lama and his head Buddhist monk, I said, do you, desire in Buddhism is kind of like one of these things, it's good or bad. I said, what do you feel about that? They talked about how desire to too much attachment can be a bad thing. I said, well, isn't it true though, when you meditate, you want to go deeper into your meditations? You want to find another level of truth and depth? And they said, yeah. I said, well, that's ambition. There's an ambition for your meditation even to get better at it. Ambition for you to get better at your sales. Ambition for you to be better with your family, be a better mom. So follow that. If there's a voice within that is stirring and it's saying, be more and give more and work more, listen to that. Listen to it. Even if the people around you go, whatever. Even if the people around you don't get it, listen to that ambition. Because when you listen to your ambition and you chase it, things change for you and your family. I can show you all the fancy pictures in the world of Oprah or Usher, all the amazing people I work with, but my favorite picture in the world is this one. It was my first seminar, and we kind of had a little theater night there, and that's my dad and my mom in the picture. It's my favorite picture of all time. And I would lose my dad to leukemia just 2 years after this picture, 3 years after this picture. And to know that I followed my dream to something, And then I got to take care of my parents towards the end of their life. I know some of you had that blessing and some of you didn't, but I can share with you, raise your ambition for your family and do the work. Raise your ambition for your family and do the work. Can I get an amen on a Friday, ladies and gentlemen? Amen. Take care of the family. Second big idea I have to share with you is I must live each day with intention. Live each day with intention. Because you know what's so hard is you want to set that big ambition, but then you don't feel like you have permission to do it. So you're not intentional each day. Like, permission's a big challenge for so many people with this concept of ambition. I don't feel like I'm ready. I don't feel like I'm ripped enough. I don't have six-pack abs. Who am I to do this for my community? I'm not in the best shape. I'm not the best, smartest person. And you diminish yourself and you diminish your ambitions because you don't feel like you have permission. And some people wait their entire lives to ever activate fully their full powers because they feel like they haven't had permission. And some of you, be honest, how many of you ever struggled like you didn't feel like you were ready enough, right enough, deserving enough to pursue your dreams fully? Has anyone ever felt like that? Yeah, it's okay. Raise your hand and be honest. If you're still waiting for that permission here at Summit, give it to yourself. No one else will ever do it for you. No one else will ever do it for you. If you need the help with it, permission granted. I was blessed to get permission to chase my ambitions and have more intention each day by a car accident. Sometimes life gives us permission to pursue something more. If you don't know my story of intention, it was when I was a 19-year-old kid. I had a good upbringing, as you heard. Then I met a girl in high school. We fell in love. We had that annoying kind of high school love. We went to college together, shared a car to school together. Everything was good, and then about halfway through halfway through the first semester of college, she discovered beer and other boys, and she cheated on me. We thought we were going to get married. That was my first infatuation, my first love. We lived in the same dorm together. We went to classes together. Everywhere I went, there she was. And then she broke my heart. And by the end of my freshman year at college, I became depressed and then suicidal. And I know some of you have been there before. You know, my identity was so tied up in that relationship. Sometimes when a relationship falls apart, you fall apart. And that was my story. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't go to class. My friends would come by and try to motivate me, but I couldn't even operate in the world. I couldn't go to class because she was there. I didn't want to hang out with my friends because she was there. I didn't want to do anything because she was on my mind. So I planned, ultimately, to run away, because that's what we do when it's hard. And so I became suicidal, and then one day I happened to open up the school newspaper, and there was a full-page ad there, and I'll never forget it. The marketing kind of changed my life. I never thought about it that way until later. But I opened up the school newspaper, and there was a full-page ad in color, and it was a white sandy beach, a perfect turquoise blue ocean, a bright, beautiful sky, a palm tree, and across the top of the ad it said, "Escape." Because when you're hurt, that's what you want. And I was like, oh, I want to escape. And it said, summertime jobs in the Dominican Republic. Students needed. I didn't know where the Dominican Republic was. I was in Montana, but I knew the Dominican Republic was not in Montana. And I knew she wasn't in the Dominican Republic. So I went, and I got a job kind of like as a glorified tour guide on the island, you know. And, you know, we just take people around the island and things like that. And then one night, Kevin, my buddy, and I, we hop into a car to go back to the place we were staying. We drop off a client, it's really late at night, hop in this car, and start flying down this new road they just paved. And here we go down this road, flat road, nice road. And we're going 85 miles an hour down the road. And I remember all the windows were down, and that beautiful Caribbean humid air is flying in. On the radio is a song by Tom Cochrane called Life is a Highway. I want to ride it all night long. I'm singing it, we're singing this song out, like life is coming back into me after all this depression. I'm feeling the humid air, the energy, the music, the movement. I'm just feeling alive. And then we came upon a corner that, at least here in the United States, would have had a big yellow sign. U-turn arrow, 15 miles an hour. Watch out. Sharp corner ahead, slow down. New road, at the time a developing country, no sign. We round the corner 85 miles an hour, and that corner became the turning point that brought me here today. We go in the corner, Kevin grabs the wheel. Brenden, hold on! And I remember bracing. And something in the next couple of minutes happened for me that some of you experienced maybe before. And I braced, and this terror went through me, and I didn't know about it till later, if it was emotional or cognitive or spiritual or what happened exactly, but I remember that brace, because when you're sliding into death's doorway, we see the headlights about to go off the road. We know we're not going to make the corner. And when you brace like that, that feeling, that sense, that energy in your spirit, it's something that says, did I live? If this is it, if this is my last moment, did I live my life? Not my spouse's life, not my friend's life, not my partner's life, not my parents' life, not my school's life. Did I live my life fully, completely, authentically, joyously? Or did I just ho-hum through the day? 19-year-old kid, I didn't like the answer to that. I had been living. And just a month earlier, I'd been planning to take my life, not living. The car starts sliding sideways and doing that weird shuddering, and that weird slow motion thing happened. And we slid into what was a little kind of brick and rock area that was for an irrigation ditch for a nearby sugarcane field. We hit it 85 miles an hour, pop, whoop, threw the car up in the air, smack. I hit my head, and I started seeing all these images. And it wasn't like in the movies where it was like this omniscient viewpoint of my life, and there's little Brenden growing up, you know, older and older and handsomer. But it was more, I just saw scenes of my life when I was surrounded by people that I cared for. From my vantage point, it wasn't like, there's my mom and our 12th grade birthday, my 12th birthday party with my friends. And it wasn't like, there's little Brenden on the swing set in the backyard with the broken sort of concrete one pole lifts out of with his sister Helen. I didn't see me in either one. It was, I could feel myself sitting, and the cake was there. My mom was singing that goofy song she sings at our birthdays. My friends gathered around. I felt myself on the swing, looking over, and I saw my sister next to me, just swinging and smiling. This feeling of ka-chunk, 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 which happened because we had that backyard swing set and that one pole that always comes out in a backyard swing set. You know what I'm talking about? And what you end up seeing at the end, at least I did, was the people that you love. Moments from your life when there was love there. It makes you ask, did I love? Did I love openly, honestly, completely? Or did I shut down my heart because one time I got hurt? That's what happened for me. I got hurt. Did I love? I hadn't felt my heart in months. You know, sometimes when we get hurt, we build up these walls, and we get proper, and we get stoic, and we get strong in some ways to keep the people out. So we build up the big barriers to keep people out, the bad guys out, so they can't hurt us anymore. But sometimes when we build that barrier to keep out the bad guys, who can't get in? The good guys. Sometimes in our own self-protection, we block out the very thing we so desperately desire. Did I love? I hadn't felt my heart. The car flipped several times off the highway, hit the ground, rolled several times. I got knocked completely out. When I came to, Kevin is screaming at the top of his lungs, "Brenden, get in the car, get in the car!" I looked over, his eyes are wild, and his head is open with a huge gash and blood everywhere all over his body, and he scrambles outside the driver's side window. I freak out. I don't know if the car is on fire. I don't know why he's screaming. I'm in shock. I go to get outside my window, but I can't. The door is smashed. There's no window. The whole car is smashed on top of me. And all I got is this hole in front of me. It used to be the windshield. And I still feel today pulling myself through the windshield of this car and standing up. And Kevin's screaming at the top of his lungs, bleeding everywhere on the side of the car. And I feel like I'm going to pass out. And I look down, I'm standing on the crumpled hood of the car. All this blood is on me, coming out onto the floor, or onto the hood. And I feel like I'm gonna pass out, and this fear hits me as this young kid. Realizing that life can end. And I remember just looking at it, and he's screaming, and everything's going in slow motion. And there's blood going off the hood of the car, and I just remember feeling like this was it. And I saw the blood going off of my toes. I just thought, did I even matter? Was there a reason I was here? Was there a purpose to something? I saw the blood going off. I felt like I was going to pass out. And there happened to be a glint, a sparkle in the blood at the end of the hood, a reflection in the blood that was going off, and it made me look up. And there was this bright, big, beautiful moon that night. I hadn't even seen it. And I felt something. I felt like, all of a sudden when I saw it, that I was going to be okay. And as I looked up, if this fear had come down earlier, this kind of faith came up. Because I felt something. And I felt like the big guy had reached down from on high, this little kid in the Dominican Republic on his hood, bleeding to death, and said, "You're going to be all right." It's what I felt like at the moment I got life's golden ticket. The second chance, like the big guy had reached down to that young kid and said, "Here you go, kid. Life's golden ticket. A second chance. It's time to live because you can still live and you can still love and you can still matter. But now you know the clock is ticking." I remember getting that ticket. I felt like I was going to be okay. And I just remember thinking how blessed I felt to be even alive. And I just thought, I will earn this. And I got that second chance. I felt it. I passed out, got knocked out. First group of people who came through found me and Kevin. You know, humanity's story right there. First group came through, robbed us. Second group came through, saved us. Humanity. We both survived. We're both okay. We're both still living. Lots of cuts and bruises and broken bones and terror and fear, but 2 kids, we got out, we survived. But I tell the story because at the end of our lives, we're all going to ask questions to evaluate whether or not we're happy with our life and how it turned out. I just say, real intention, if you're going to live each day with intention, you can't live each day with intention unless you know how you're going to evaluate your life at the end. So I said, maybe tonight, you just bust out a journal, and you just say, what questions would I ask at the end of my life to see if I'm happy with the answers? My questions ended up being, did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? 21 years later, even last night, when I go to bed every night, I say, did I live today? Did I love today? Did I matter today? And it's that intention that brought me here. It's that intention that made me have a life that was fully alive and heart-centered and focused on a mission of making a difference. But you got to find your own questions. Maybe yours are different. But if you don't know your questions that you'll ask at the end of your life to evaluate your life, you can't truly live intentionally into it so you can be happy with the answers at the end. So find your questions, then you can live with intention. Because every day I measure, am I living and loving and mattering? Every day you got to measure something. That's how you know if you are being intentional. And many of you, without even knowing, you were given a second chance at some point. Raise your hand if you ever felt like you got a second chance somehow. Yeah, look around the room, look around the room. Most of us have gotten that. And the nice thing is, life isn't just one second chance, it's a series and an evergreen set of second chances. You gotta feel that, believe that. Tomorrow you can wake up and you can have a new fire in your belly. You can work a little harder. You can love more. You can make a difference. Because every single day is that second chance. And for that, we are all blessed. I get an amen on Friday. Third big idea I have for you, though, to get there, I must no longer fear rejection. Rejection is a conversation we have to have, especially with what you guys do. Serving so many people, asking people to buy stuff, join your team, follow you, build your products. But sometimes you're scared. Rejection's real. You don't want to look foolish in front of your family. You don't want to look foolish in front of your friends or your neighborhood. But let me tell you just a simple metaphor for rejection, because when you get over rejection, your life opens to a level you never even dreamed possible. When you just do your thing, and it's you, and it's authentic, it's live, there are no apologies anymore. And if you're still driving your life some way based on rejection, you're not living your life yet. And I know that can sound simple, so let me just give a metaphor, maybe a little activity to ask you guys a few questions. How many of you have ever been rejected in a way that it wasn't just like a casual rejection? Someone rejected you and it hurt your feelings in such a way you became different, you behaved differently, it hurt your identity, you would say. Has that ever happened? Raise your hand. And look all around this arena. We've all been rejected somehow. How many of you ever had that happen, let's say, by 3 different people? 3 different people rejected you in a way that shaped your future or shaped who you became. 3 different people, raise your hands. If I went out to lunch with you today and I sat you down and I said, tell me 5 people who have maybe hurt your feelings or shaped your identity in that way, such a significant rejection, how many of you could easily name the 5 people? Raise your hands. Okay. Notice what's happening in the room here. How many of you would know, right at the top of your head, there were 7 different people. Remember, it was casual, it was a big rejection. Raise your hands. Okay. How many of you just know right off the bat? 15 different people. Raise your hands. 20. If you're sitting next to someone who just raised their hand, give them a big hug. Wouldn't you do that? But we had in an arena very few people. You saw people raise their hand. Shout out, what number was the average number in this room? 3, 5, 3, 5? Okay. Well, let's double it. Let's say there were 10 people who rejected you. 10 jerks who really shaped you. But how many, let me ask a different question. You're like, boy, Brenden, this is real motivational. When the balloons come out. But listen, how many of you have ever met with, interacted, known, talked with, and it went fine? You met 10 people in your life, and they were cool with you. They were fine with you. They supported you. Raise your hands. There's more than 10 people in this room if you didn't know. How many of you have ever met with, known, interacted, talked with over 200 people, and they were cool with you? They let you do your own thing. How many of you guess at this age in your life, you probably met with, known, interacted, talked with over 1,000 people. They didn't care what you did. They let you do your own thing. They didn't say anything about it. You just lived your life. How many of you think like there were 1,000 people who probably supported you or at least didn't bother you? Raise your hands. See? So here's the issue. If you're scared of rejection, you suck at math. I don't want to go to Las Vegas with you. Look, if that's your odds, if you're playing those odds, you suck at math. Imagine this. 10 jerks over here. 1,000 people who got your back over here. You're standing in the middle and you're worried about them. If you thought about it, mathematically at least, statistically, 10 out of 1,000, they're the oddities. They're the statistical improbabilities. They're the weirdos. If you thought about it one more second, really, you got 1,000 people, you can storm these suckers. You got more people who got your back than will throw something at it. And it's your belief otherwise that prevents you from going for it. You got to get over rejection, and you got to know, do your thing. I know you know that, but if you practice it at another level, you'll be more authentic on social media. You'll get better deals. You'll support more people in your team. You got to get over rejection and have that boldness in your heart that says something about now. It's your time to be yourself. It's your time to stop worrying about other people. If you agree with me, raise your right hand and say, it's my time.
It's my time.
Shout it out. It's my time.
It's my time.
Turn to the person left, right. Shake their shoulder. Say, it's your time.
It's your time.
Not your time. Number 4, for your notes, write it down. Oh my God, I forgot about this. Some of the leaders in this room who I'll talk to you this afternoon, you took a survey. The survey gave you 6 scores related to high performance. If you guys want to see what your courage score is related to what you do in this industry, follow those instructions right now. Just open your phone and open up your text, open up a new message, type that phone number in, 818-492-1802, and then in the body, just type Beachbody. And what you will get back from me in a minute or a couple minutes is a link where you can take a professional assessment that usually costs $200 to take. I made it for you, enabled it for you last night. It's free. Everybody can take it. It's confidential. Yeah, I spent 3 years with 5 academic teams to build it. You can take it for free. Everybody gets to take it. Leaders, many of you already took it for this afternoon. But you'll get a score. You'll get your courage score, and you get 5 other scores that predict your ability to become a high performer. So make sure you do that. And then what I'll do is I'll text you back. If you text me, I'll text you tomorrow. We'll run the numbers. On Monday. I'll run the numbers and I'll tell you the average score of everybody in this arena versus the highest level leaders in this group, the highest earners. And I'll tell you the difference. But I can't do that unless you text, okay? And don't worry, you can opt out of my text anytime just by replying stop, right? It's how a lot of my dating experience, somebody's like, stop, don't bother me, Brenden. Don't text me anymore. I'm fine, I won't be offended. Number 4, I must jump in and face my fears. You gotta do it. If you're gonna change the world, you gotta jump in and face those fears. You're scared to make the call? Make the damn call. You're scared to ask for it? Go for it. You're scared to try something new? Do it. I was terrified to try to do a Tony Horton donkey kick in front of you. I even told Carl backstage, I'm like, I think I'm gonna try this. He's like, that could have been a disaster. I was terrified, totally scared. But I'm like, you know what? Then that's the edges of your growth. Your fear is the edge of your growth. Go there. Go there. If you don't jump in, you won't change your life. I'll tell you a story where somebody changed my life with this exact message. Back in the day, I had the opportunity to go skydiving with some friends. And you can already look at my face. I think I'm the least enthusiastic guy there. I'm kind of looking at it like, we're going to do what? And they're like, we're going to go skydiving. So I remember, we pull up in the middle of nowhere, Arizona, in an SUV with me and my bunch of friends. And we pull up, there's a barn where the hangar is, where they got the plane, this little plane. And then there's a bar. And I get up in the SUV and I go, I am not getting out of this SUV until I see which building the pilot comes out of. We go into the barn and they train us how to do it. And it's so simple. They're giving instructions, telling us how to do it, and check your equipment, do all these things. But I'm so nervous and fearful because I hate heights. I can't hear anything they're saying. Sometimes you can't hear, when you're scared. And I can't hear anything. And I'm just scared and I'm nervous. And we get in there, and I remember we get in the plane, we go up, and this is about 5,000 feet in the air. We're going to go to 13,000, okay? We're about 5,000, 6,000 feet in the air, and that's the fakest smile of any picture. If you want to know my fake smile, that's it. Terrified. And I suddenly forget what I'm supposed to do. And I just get really nervous, and I turn to my guy next to me on my ride in the picture. I say, what am I supposed to do? And he just answered. I go, dude, when we get up there, what am I supposed to do again? He's like, I go, yeah, no, I'm freaking out. What am I supposed to do again? He goes, yeah, you'll be okay. And he said it. I thought he was high. And I start sharing, hey man, he goes, no, look, Brenden, easy. 5,000, pull. 5,000, pull. I go, what do you mean? He goes, what he's motioning towards the big wristwatch we have called an altimeter. It says after you jump out of the plane, you'll fall. And then this thing will tell you when you're 5,000 feet. When you're 5,000 feet, reach back and grab this little orange tennis ball, pull it. It will deploy the chute and hopefully save your life. I'm like, oh, that's it? He goes, 5,000 pull. I'm like, 5,000 pull, I can do that. All of a sudden we get up at height, at altitude, the plane goes, my friends are sitting on a bench across from me. He goes, and when he came back this time, my friends slide down to the opening in the back of the plane and fall out. And I'm like, oh, okay, 5,000 pull. Just watching your friends fall to their death. And I start freaking out. I'm like, woo! And he goes, next one we go. I'm like, oh, I don't know. He's like, we go, 5,000 pull, we got this. I'm like, I got this. And hey, look, I've been to seminars. I'm a motivational speaker. I've worked with and mentored and talked with Tony Robbins. I know what to do. We start sliding down the bench to the end. I'm like, yes, 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 yes. We get to the door, and he goes, 1. And I'm like, yes, I can do this, 5,000 pull. 2, I go, he goes, 3, and I go, no! And he throws me out of this thing. Oh! And then he pulls like, no! And he throws me out, and I go, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, and then you are falling 200 miles an hour. You are falling. I'm screaming. I love this picture. You can see me screaming through my legs. Looks like I pooped my pants. None of your business. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. I remember screaming so hard as we were falling above the cloud lines. I'm thinking there's probably dogs on the earth whose ears are bleeding. At such a high level. I'm screaming at the top of the totally freaking out, and when you jump out, you don't realize, they don't prepare you for it. When you jump into your fears, they never prepare you fully. Because I jump out, and the wind, but I can't hear the wind come through, and you're falling, and all of a sudden, something went wrong. Can you see it? What went wrong? Let me zoom in for you. See it yet? Skydivers, you might see it. Well, 1, the hair is being ripped from my body, which is wrong. But number 2, if you see it, my goggles. I didn't check the equipment. Snap. The rim around my goggles snapped off. Not a big deal unless you're falling at 200 miles an hour because the wind caught the thing. I'm falling. Ow! Ow! And the thing's drilling a hole through my head. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs and I forget what I'm supposed to do. And you see now Buddha, the guy on top of me, suddenly gets serious. Look at the serious look on his face. And he's pointing towards the ground like, hey kid, you might want to do something soon, or you're gonna hit that. And I'm screaming, I'm like, ah! I don't know what I'm doing. So as a good coach would do, gives a gentle reminder, he goes to grab my hand and show me my altimeter, but the problem is I'm screaming around like Gumpy, and when he grabs my hand, it catches the wind and it goes, it almost knocks me out cold. I'm screaming, I don't pick up what I'm supposed to do. I don't pull my thing. So he gives me another gentle reminder. Hits me twice. And I go, oh. And then I reach back and I grab the thing. Oh, I'm like 5,000 pull. I reach back and I grab this thing, right? And I go to pull it. And before I show you the picture of pulling it, let's do a little interlude to tell you about fears. Okay? Because if somebody had sold me this friggin' commercial, I wouldn't have jumped out. I wouldn't have dialed that 800 number. I wouldn't have tried to get the extra clothes racks. I wouldn't have asked for the bonuses. I wouldn't order rush shipping because this commercial would not be something I would buy from. Could you imagine the commercial for this? You roll up, you get there, they tell you kind of what to do, you get a plane. You kind of forget what you're supposed to do. He's like, 5,000 pull, 5,000 pull. I can do that, no problem, 5,000 pull. Watch your friends, watch your friends, watch your friends. It's your time, okay, here we go. Yes, 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 yes. Get the door. 1, no, 2, no, 3. Ow, ow. Oh God, oh God. And then he's back in blood. It sure is beautiful up here, man. It's beautiful. Oh my God, it's awesome. It's so beautiful. It's beautiful. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And we start going down and we're just getting about to landing. And around here he goes, lift your legs, Brenden. Lift your legs, Brenden. I go, why? He goes, so you don't break them. Good tip. I lift my legs, land in the ground, and my friends, they always joke, after we did it, we were all standing around celebrating. They call this, I jumped to my fears, they call it the hero shot. But now the best part of the story. We're all talking around and celebrating. I mean, I don't think we're cool. I'm like, I can't believe I did that. Oh my God. And my guy comes up to me, the guy with all the pictures I just showed you on a CD. And he goes, hey, here's all the pictures. I go, you guys had a photographer? He goes, yeah, he was the guy who jumped out immediately before you. You didn't see him? I'm like, no. And he goes, hey man, are you okay? I said, yeah. He goes, because you were really screaming up there. I go, yeah, I go. What do you, let me ask you now, what do you do? Well, you know, I'm a motivational speaker. And he goes, oh. He goes, hey man, can I give you some advice? I go, I love advice. I'm here because of advice. Tell me, man. He goes, you see that plane over there, motion store plane? He goes, yeah. He goes, I jumped out of that 1,147 times. And I go, what? He goes, I've jumped out of that 1,147 times. I go, oh my God. And he goes, but you're one of those guys. Well, what do you mean one of those guys? Well, you showed up, came in the bar, we were telling you what to do, but you're one of those guys. I said, what do you mean one of those guys? Well, I think you're going to struggle in your career and your life. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, you're one of those guys who hasn't yet learned how to listen through his fears. I was like, whoa. He goes, look, there's a lot of people who did what you did, and you're not listening because you're scared. Those who can't listen through their fears and still do it always have a terrible ride, he tells me. And it shifted me. And I think it's relevant for everybody in this room because everybody in this room, you have mentors here. You got an unbelievable organization. I don't think there's a better organization that supports its people than Beachbody in the world, ladies and gentlemen. You got them. You got them. But sometimes you're too scared to ask for help because your fear is drowning out your ability to say, what do I need to do again? You're not paying attention to what people are telling you. Somebody did what you did and they're already earning 7 figures. Somebody did what you want to do and they've already given their family financial freedom. They're just like you, they just did something different. You gotta listen. You gotta listen through the fears. You walk out these doors at some point and you'll think, you know, I want to do those things, but you'll get scared. Ask for help. There's Team Beachbody members in this room. They've done their 1,147 sayings. They're here for you. Can I get an amen on a Friday, ladies and gentlemen? You got more support than you know. And you never get those hero shots unless you listen through the fear and you go in for it. Last big idea for everyone. You got to find something to fight for. Otherwise you won't do it. You just won't. I like to show this picture of my beginnings. I had a good job after college and I left it to do something entrepreneurial. Everyone thought I was crazy, said I was stupid. And I was. I did what a lot of entrepreneurs do. You start a new business, I quickly went broke. Real broke. I had a choice at some point, move in with my then girlfriend or back to my parents' house. I'd couch surfed long enough. My family, my friends didn't want me on their couches anymore, so I didn't really have any choice about what to do. I moved in with my girlfriend and that's kind of our beginning. That's basically the whole apartment there. And what I would do at nights is I was writing this book at night. My dream was to write a book. I'm a writer first, even though people think I'm famous on YouTube. I'm actually a writer. And so I would write. But the truth is, there were a lot of days I'd go to the cafe and I'd pretend to write. You know what I mean? You ever go to a cafe and you're sitting there, you're all perked up on caffeine, you're looking at everybody doing their work and you're thinking, I'm such a phony bastard. You order another thing, you get some bread, you get a little coffee, and you're just pretending to work, but you know you're not doing anything. Everybody else you think must be doing something. And then what I would do is then I'd say, well, I can't right now, I need to go on a walk. So for my creativity, I'd go on a walk for creativity. Creativity didn't strike. And there were too many days where I woke up with a goal to write, and I didn't. And I was coming back to this little tiny apartment where everything was starting for us. And that's basically the apartment. I mean, I'd wheel around that little table and write at night. And then one night, I'm struggling writing, and I'm writing and just kind of screwing around a little bit. And I'd gone totally broke, bankrupt. And the room was so small, you can see I kind of used the bed as my extended desk. I put all of my papers and bills and vision boards all over the bed. And my lady walked in that night, so I'm pretending to kind of work, and she walks over and she doesn't want to disturb me as I'm working, so she goes to crawl under the covers of the bed, but on top of her is my vision boards, my notes, my journals, my research, my papers, and my bills. And I'm writing and I look over and I see my woman sleeping under the weight of my bills. And it snapped something inside because it hurt so bad. Because I wanted a better life for her and for us. And it was the greatest gift. Because I looked at her, I realized I had someone to fight for. Something to fight for. The next day, I wrote. The next day, I wrote. The next day, I wrote. This September, my next book, High Performance Habits, comes out. My 6th book since that day. Thank you. We started small. My first seminar room, that's it. Some of you have been to our seminars of thousands of people. That's my first one. That's the whole room. Here's the other angle. 22 people. Less than half of them paid. I counted my mom, who was helping us do it. And every time the guy came in with the water, I counted him too. Now we got these big events, High Performance Academy, all over the world. And now, because I found something to fight for, I stand up here, I look around this room, right now, and I started in a room with a little table and a goofy dream. Who was I to be a writer? I never learned how. I had a goofy dream. Who was I to do a YouTube video? I didn't know how to shoot video. This used to terrify me. Terrifying. I was so scared of public speaking. So utterly terrified. Today, it's still a little scary. But for me, I was willing to raise my ambition. I was willing to live a little more intentional. I was letting go of rejection. I was learning to step into my fear. Most importantly, I had somebody to fight for, and every day I reminded myself of who I had to fight for and what I believed. And you all got family needing you. You got this team, this organization needing you. If you ever wake up unmotivated, you just forgot who and what you are fighting for, and you need to remind yourself of that again. I reminded myself for that girl who I loved, who was supporting me, who were broke, she was buying my groceries. It was a long haul, and I had to watch her sleep on my bills, and later on, we made it, and married that girl. Sitting right over there. I said at the beginning, you're all gonna walk at some point in your life and make that switch where you allow yourself to go to another ambition. You're going to decide, commit, and succeed. You're going to make that decision because your family needs you, and someone needs you, and your mission needs you, and this organization needs you, and your team needs you. So if you will take that in for just a moment and allow yourself to dream that bigger dream again, and then you walk out these doors all around this building, walk out today and tomorrow, and then when you get home, walk out the doors of your homes or your organizations or your offices every single day. Walk out and allow yourself to dream again. Have intention for having an extraordinary life for your family, for your friends, for this organization. Allow yourself to put yourself in front of rejection. Address those fears. Move towards it. Allow yourself to believe in your heart that you've got something to fight for. You've got this blessed opportunity today to go do something amazing that no one else has. Carl and the rest of the team, they say it right. This is a unique opportunity. This is a powerful moment in your life. So set those ambitions high and then walk out this door and walk out the doors of your homes for the rest of your life and earn this. Beachbody, thank you very much.
Brenden Bruchard! Great job. You know, you should be a little more animated when you're talking. Great job.